The stars were cold and silent. For days, weeks, maybe months she had drifted in her damaged ship. Her name was Sarah, and she was the last of her kind. Her people were gone, burned by fire and crushed by war. The great cities of her world were only dust now. Her family, her friends, her husband, all gone. Only she remained. Her ship had no weapons left. Supplies were almost finished. Power was weak. Every night she looked at the stars and asked herself the same question: why am I still alive? There was no answer. Still, Sarah sent out a signal, a broken voice traveling into the deep black void of space. Please, is anyone out there? I'm alone. I need help. I am the last of my people. She had repeated this cry many times. No one answered. Sometimes she wondered if the universe had already decided to let her die. But then, something happened. Her communication screen flickered. A new signal. Strange, different, rough. Not from her own people, not from any species she knew. A voice filled the cabin. I hear you. Sarah froze. For a long time she could not breathe. The voice spoke again. It was deep, steady, and strange. The words were translated by her ship's system, but the accent was sharp, unfamiliar. Don't be afraid. I am human. Human? She had read about them long ago, primitive, young, reckless. Her people had considered humans a small race, not strong, not important. And yet, here was a human, answering her last call. Her heart pounded. Was this a trick? A trap? The enemies who had destroyed her world were clever. Maybe they were using this human as a mask. She reached for the controls, ready to cut the signal, but the voice came again. You don't have to trust me, but I will not leave you. Give me your coordinates. I can help. Sarah sat in silence. The ship's lights buzzed softly. She thought of her husband's last words before the attack. Live, Sarah. No matter what happens, live. Was this human her chance to live? Or her final mistake? Her hands trembled as she entered the coordinates. Minutes passed. Her ship drifted in the black. Then from the distance a small vessel appeared on her scanner. Not enemy design. Not alien design she knew. It was crude, heavy, strange, human. Her pulse raced. The ship grew larger on the screen. Don't be afraid, the human said again. I will dock carefully. Metal shook as the two ships connected. Sarah gripped the edge of her chair. Her mind screamed. This could be the end. A hiss of air, a door opening. Heavy steps, slow, echoing. And then he entered. He was tall, broad, covered in a thick suit of armor. His face was hidden behind a glass visor. For a moment, Sarah felt like prey caught in the eyes of a hunter. The human raised his hands. Empty, no weapon. His voice was calm. You are safe. Sarah's throat was dry. She wanted to speak, but no words came. The human looked around her broken ship. He saw the cracked walls, the blinking lights, the empty food storage. Slowly he lowered his helmet. The face behind it was scarred but not cruel. His eyes, tired, sharp, alive, met hers. My name is Daniel, he said. For the first time in weeks, Sarah whispered her own name. Sarah. He nodded. Sarah, I heard your signal. You are not alone anymore. Her chest tightened. Not alone. Could it be true? But doubt still burned inside her. She did not know this man. She did not know what humans really wanted. Daniel seemed to read her fear. He placed a small device on the floor and stepped back. A box opened, showing food and water. He spoke softly. Take it. No trick. You need strength. Sarah stared at the supplies. Real food. Real water. She had almost forgotten the smell. She touched the container slowly, carefully, like it might vanish if she blinked. Tears filled. Her eyes. Daniel said nothing more. He only waited, standing silent as if he knew this was her decision. To trust, or to refuse. Sarah closed her eyes. The universe was cruel, cold, endless. But maybe, just maybe, hope had returned, in the form of this strange human. Her voice shook, but she spoke the words. Stay, please. Daniel gave a small nod. I will. For the first time since her world's destruction, Sarah felt a spark. Not of fear, not of despair, but of something she thought was gone forever. Hope. And so began a story neither of them could imagine. The hiss of air between the two ships had not stopped echoing in Sarah's ears. Even after Daniel, the human, stepped into her broken vessel, every sound felt louder, heavier. The groan of metal, the faint hum of the power core, even the soft beat of her own heart, they all carried the same warning. You are not safe yet. She had let him stay. She had even spoken the word please. But doubt lived inside her like a shadow. What if he had come not to help, but to take? Daniel placed his supplies on the floor. He stood still, his helmet off, his scarred face revealed. His eyes carried no smile, but no cruelty either. They were the eyes of someone who had seen loss, maybe even more loss than she had. That unsettled her. How could a human, a young race in the galaxy, carry such heavy eyes? Your ship is dying, Daniel said, his voice low but firm. Sarah stiffened. He was right. The systems were failing. Air was leaking slowly. Fuel was almost gone. Still, hearing the truth from his lips felt like a blade pressing into her chest. And you? She asked, her voice sharper than she meant. Why are you here, human? Why answer my call when no one else did? Daniel's jaw tightened. For a moment he did not answer. He turned, checking her cracked control panels, her dying screens. Then finally, he said, because I know what it feels like. To be the last. His words froze her. Sarah's lips parted, but no sound came. She wanted to ask what he meant, but something in his face told her he would not explain. Not yet. Instead, he crouched near the main console, running his fingers over the controls. I can fix some of this, he said. Enough to get you moving again, but not alone. You'll have to trust me. Trust. That word again. How could she trust a creature she had just met? A species her people had once ignored, almost mocked? And yet, here he was, offering help when no one else had. She moved closer, slow and careful. If I trust you, and you betray me, there will be nowhere for you to hide. Even in death my spirit will curse you. Daniel gave the smallest smile, not of amusement, but of respect. Then I'd better not betray you. He began working. Tools clicked, sparks jumped, metal groaned. Sarah watched every move. His hands were steady, practiced. He knew machines as if they were alive. For hours he repaired, adjusted, rewired. She could not understand all of his methods. Human engineering was crude compared to her people's. But it worked. Systems began to glow brighter. Air pressure steadied. The ship no longer felt like a coffin. Sarah said nothing, but inside, her fear shifted. Slowly, very slowly, it bent toward something else. When Daniel finally stood, wiping sweat from his brow, the ship was humming again. Not whole, not strong, but alive. You should be able to move now, he said. Sarah's voice was quiet. Why help me? This time he looked directly into her eyes. His words came like a weight. Because when I heard your voice in the dark, it sounded like mine. Her breath caught. His meaning was still a mystery, but something in her heart understood. This man was not saving her for gain. He was saving her because he saw himself in her. Still, doubt remained. Was it true? Or another mask? Before she could speak, the ship's scanner beeped, a warning. Movement in the distance. Sarah rushed to the screen. Her blood turned cold. 3 ships, enemy design, the same sharp wings, the same blood-red insignia. The hunters who had killed her people. Her hands shook. "They've found me." Daniel stepped to her side, calm but alert. He studied the screen, then looked at her. "They'll come fast, and you can't run." Sarah's heart raced. Fear crawled through her chest. The human's next words stunned her. "Then we fight." She turned to him, eyes wide. "Fight? With what? My weapons are destroyed. Your ship is smaller than theirs. It's suicide." Daniel only smiled grimly. "Maybe. But I'd rather go down fighting than running. What about you?" Her breath caught. His courage was reckless, foolish. And yet, it stirred something inside her, something she thought she had lost forever. The will to resist. The enemy ships grew closer on the scanner, their signals sharp and merciless. Sarah stared at them, then at Daniel. Her voice trembled, but she spoke the truth. "Then we fight." Daniel's eyes flashed with something fierce, respect. Resolved. Together, they moved to prepare. Sarah powered what little remained of her defense systems. Daniel returned to his ship, bringing weapons, tools, anything that could be turned into a weapon. The hum of the engines grew louder. The red lights of enemy ships filled the scanner. The silence between them was heavy, but not hopeless. Two strangers, two survivors standing against a storm. For the first time, Sarah felt the edge of destiny shift. Alone, she was nothing. But with this strange human, maybe, just maybe, survival was possible. The enemy ships broke formation, circling like wolves. The air inside the cabin trembled. Sarah gripped the console, Daniel by her side. The battle was seconds away. And in that moment, one truth burned clear in her heart. This meeting was no accident. The battle never came. The three enemy ships circled, scanned, and then vanished into the dark. Sarah and Daniel waited in silence, their breath tight, their bodies ready for death. But the fight never arrived. When the scanner finally went quiet, Sarah lowered her trembling hands. Her chest ached from holding her breath for so long. Daniel, calm as ever, only said, "Strange. They don't leave prey alive. Not unless..." "Unless what?" Sarah demanded. He did not answer right away. His eyes were fixed on the scanner, as if searching for something invisible. Finally, he said, "Unless they already know where you are going." Her blood froze. She had no destination, no home. How could they know? Daniel turned, his voice steady but heavy. "Sarah, there's something you must understand. Your distress call, it wasn't only me who heard it. Others did too. And not all who heard it want to save you." She stared at him, shocked. Her signal, her cry for help, it had betrayed her? Daniel's eyes softened. "I wasn't just wandering the stars when I found you. I was looking for you." The words struck her like thunder. Sarah stepped back. "Looking for me? Why? You don't know me." Daniel's face tightened. For a moment, silence. Then slowly, he spoke. "I knew your people once, long ago. Not directly, but through stories. My father, he believed your kind were more than just another species. He said you carried knowledge older than most of the galaxy, knowledge hidden in the stars." Sarah's heart pounded. The old knowledge, her people's greatest secret. Her husband had guarded it before the war. Only a few had known where it was hidden. And now this human spoke of it? "You lie," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. "I don't. My father searched his whole life for proof. He died never finding it, but I picked up where he left off. That's why I answered your signal. Not just to save you, but because you may carry what he died seeking." Her body trembled with anger. "So it is true. You don't care about me. You care about what I can give you." Daniel stepped closer. "No. I care about survival. Yours, mine, maybe the whole galaxy's. Do you think your enemies destroyed your people only for land or power? No, they were after the same thing, the secret, the knowledge. Her throat went dry. She thought of her husband's final moments, the way he had whispered, "Live." She thought of the hidden vaults, the forbidden archives of her people, knowledge that could change the balance of the galaxy, knowledge that, if in the wrong hands, could burn whole worlds. Daniel's voice pressed harder. If they get it, no one will stop them. But if you and I find it first. He let the words hang, heavy with promise and danger. Sarah turned away. Her mind was fire. Was this man her savior, or was he just another thief of her people's legacy? The ship's lights flickered. The silence of space pressed against the hull. Finally, she said, "You ask me to trust you. But how do I know you are not the same as them?" Daniel's answer was simple. "Because if I wanted to take from you, Sarah, I wouldn't have given you food. I wouldn't have fixed your ship, and I wouldn't be standing here unarmed." His voice was firm, but his eyes carried something else, a pain she did not yet understand. Sarah's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to accuse, to curse. But instead she whispered, "If what you say is true, then the danger is greater than I thought." Daniel nodded. "Yes, which is why we move now. Your people's knowledge. Where is it?" Her lips pressed tight. She would not tell him. Not yet. That secret was the last piece of her people she carried. But in her heart, fear grew. If the enemy truly hunted her for the knowledge, then nowhere in the galaxy would be safe. She looked at Daniel again, a human, crude and reckless but unbroken. Could she truly trust him with something so powerful? Before she could answer, the scanner beeped again. This time, not enemies. A neutral beacon, faint, drifting in the distance. An abandoned outpost. Daniel's face hardened. "We go there, supplies, repairs, and maybe answers." Sarah hesitated. "And if it's a trap?" Daniel gave a grim smile. "Then we find out together." The engines hummed as the ship turned toward the beacon. Sarah's heart was heavy, torn between fear and hope. She sat in silence, the stars sliding past beside her. Daniel sat with quiet strength, his eyes always watching. She did not trust him fully. Not yet. But in the empty dark, she knew one thing. Her story was no longer hers alone. And the secret she carried, the secret of her people, was no longer safe. The path ahead was not survival. It was something far more dangerous. Destiny. The beacon grew brighter on the scanner. An abandoned outpost, drifting like a ghost in the endless dark. Its lights were faint, its signal weak. For Sarah, it felt like a warning. Come closer. If you dare. Daniel guided the ship with steady hands, but Sarah felt unease rising in her chest. Every instinct told her this place was wrong. And then it happened. The alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the cabin. Sarah's eyes widened as 3 enemy ships burst from the shadows of the outpost hidden until now. Their blood-red insignia glowed like fire against the stars. "They were waiting," she whispered. Daniel's voice cut sharp. "Hold on!" The enemy ships opened fire. Beams of burning light streaked across the void, slamming into the shields. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Sarah was thrown forward, gripping the console. Her heart pounded. "We cannot fight them, we have nothing." But Daniel's hands moved with calm fury. He twisted controls, powered the engines, forced the ship into a sharp dive. Enemy fire cut through empty space as they just barely escaped the blast. Sarah's chest heaved. "You call this survival?" Daniel's eyes were fierce. "It's better than waiting to die." The enemy circled like predators, pushing them closer to the outpost. Sarah's system screamed with damage warnings. The ship could not take another hit. Daniel slammed a fist against the console. "We'll have to get inside the station. It's our only chance." Her voice shook. "And if they follow?" He gave a grim smile. "Then we make it hard for them." The ship roared forward, racing toward the outpost. Enemy fire rained down, scorching the hull. Daniel wove through the blasts with reckless skill, as if he had danced with death before. At the last second, he forced the ship into the docking bay. Metal screamed as they crashed inside. The force threw Sarah to the ground. Smoke filled the cabin. For a moment, silence. Then Daniel ripped open the hatch. "Move!" Sarah stumbled after him, clutching what little remained of her strength. The docking bay was dark, abandoned, but the enemy was coming. She could hear the thunder of their ships landing behind them. Daniel handed her a weapon, a human rifle, heavy and strange in her hands. "Point and shoot, don't think too much." She swallowed hard. Her people had never built weapons for individuals. They had fought with fleets, with strategy, not with blood and hands, but now she had no choice. The station shook as enemy soldiers stormed inside. Shadows moved in the smoke. Red armor, sharp helmets, rifles glowing with deadly light. Daniel fired first. His shots cracked through the bay, striking the enemy and forcing them into cover. Sparks exploded as bullets tore into metal. Sarah froze, her body trembling. The rifle in her hands felt like a weight she could not lift. Then she saw it. One enemy soldier raising his weapon, aiming at Daniel's back. Her chest burned. Her finger tightened. A single blast fired from her rifle. The enemy fell. Her hands shook violently, but she had done it. She had killed. Daniel glanced back at her, eyes sharp but approving. Good. There was no time for more. The bay became chaos, fire, smoke, shouts, explosions. Daniel fought like a man who had nothing left to lose. Every move was brutal, efficient, fearless. Sarah followed, her aim unsteady but her spirit burning. She could not let them take her. She could not let them take the secret. Step by step, they pushed forward through the outpost, deeper into the dark halls. The walls shook with enemy fire. Sparks rained like falling stars. Sarah's chest ached with fear, but every time she thought of stopping, she saw Daniel ahead of her, never pausing, never surrendering. And something inside her refused to be left behind. Finally, they reached the command chamber. Daniel sealed the door behind them, breathing hard. Sarah collapsed against the wall, her rifle slipping from her hands. "We cannot win," she whispered. "Not against all of them." Daniel's chest rose and fell, his face streaked with smoke, but his voice was steady. "Maybe not, but we can make them bleed." She stared at him, stunned. His courage was madness, yet it lit something inside her. Something she thought had died with her people. The will to fight, even when hope was gone. Before she could speak, the door shook. The enemies were breaking through. Daniel turned to her, eyes burning. "Sarah, if they take you, everything is lost. Do you understand? Whatever happens, you must survive." Her throat closed. "You ask me to live again, when there is no life left?" He gave a grim smile. "Life is not given, it's taken. And I'll take it for you if I have to." The door cracked. Light poured through. Sarah gripped her rifle once more. Her heart was still afraid, but no longer only afraid. Together, side by side, she and the human faced the storm. And when the enemy finally broke through, the station burned with fire. The outpost was silent again. Smoke curled through the broken halls. The floor was slick with shadows and blood. Enemy soldiers lay scattered where they had fallen. Sarah's arms ached from the weight of the rifle, and her lungs burned with every breath. She had never fought like this before. And yet, she was still alive. Daniel stood in the center of the ruined chamber, his chest rising and falling. His face was dark with ash, his clothes torn, but his eyes, those steady human eyes, still burned with fire. Sarah leaned against the wall, her voice trembling. "We survived." Daniel didn't look at her. He was working, scanning the consoles, searching the controls of the outpost. Her relief turned to unease. "What are you doing?" He didn't answer. His fingers moved quickly, pressing commands she didn't recognize. A panel lit up. Data scrolled across the screen in a language not hers. Sarah's stomach twisted. "Daniel, what is that?" Finally, he spoke, but his voice was too calm. Coordinates. Records. This outpost was watching something. I need to know what. Her chest tightened. Watching what? He hesitated, then turned to face her. His voice was sharp now, almost hard. Your people. The words cut deeper than any blade. Sarah froze. My people are gone. Daniel's jaw clenched. Not their knowledge. Not their secret. Her throat went dry. The same secret he had spoken of before. The knowledge hidden in the stars. You lied, she whispered. Dot. He shook his head. No. I told you the truth. I was looking for you. For this. Because your people carried something greater than themselves. Something that cannot be lost. Her hands curled into fists. Anger burned inside her. So that's why you saved me? Not because you cared, but because I was useful to you. Daniel's voice rose hard and sharp. If I only cared about myself, you'd already be dead. Do you not see, Sarah? If the enemy gets this knowledge, they will rule the galaxy. Every world will burn, just like yours. His words were fierce, but they did not calm her. They shook her even more. Dot. She turned away, her chest heaving. All this time she had let herself believe that maybe in this human there was kindness. Maybe she was not alone. But now it felt like betrayal. Dot. Her husband's voice echoed in her memory. Live, Sarah. But what did it mean to live if everything around her was built on lies? The console beeped. Daniel had pulled the coordinates. His face was set, grim, as if he had been waiting for this moment all his life. Sarah's voice broke. If you take this path, then you are no different from those who destroyed us. Daniel turned to her, his eyes fierce. I am different, because I don't want it for power. I want it to stop them. I want it to end what they've started. She shook her head. And how do I know that is true? How do I know you won't use it for yourself? Silence hung heavy. The station's walls groaned under distant stress. The stars outside were cold and watching. Dot. Then Daniel stepped closer. His voice was low, almost breaking. Because if I meant to betray you, Sarah, I wouldn't be standing here with nothing left. I would have left you to die. I would have saved myself. Her breath caught. She looked at him closely. His scarred face, his weary eyes. There was no greed in them, only pain. A pain she recognized. Dot. Slowly, the anger in her heart shifted. Not gone, but not so sharp. Dot. But then the console screamed. Warning lights flashed red. Daniel's face darkened. They're coming. A whole fleet this time. Sarah's stomach dropped. We cannot fight them. Daniel gave a harsh laugh. No, we can't. But maybe we can buy time. Her eyes widened. What are you saying? He looked at her, his face steady, calm, like a man who had already chosen his fate. I'll stay. I'll hold them here. You take the coordinates. You run. Her heart slammed against her chest. No, you will die. Daniel gave a faint smile. Better me than you. You carry the hope of your people. I carry nothing but scars. Her throat closed. He meant it. He would sacrifice himself for her. The betrayal she had feared only moments ago. Now it became something else. Not betrayal. Sacrifice. Tears stung her eyes. I will not leave you. Daniel shook his head. You must. If you stay, we both die. If you go, maybe, just maybe, there's a chance. The sound of engines roared outside. The enemy fleet was closing in. Sarah's body trembled. Her mind screamed to run, but her heart refused to abandon him. Daniel's voice was firm. Live, Sarah. Live. The same words her husband had spoken. Now spoken by a human. Her chest burned with pain, with rage, with something deeper than both. The walls shook. The station lights flickered. Time was gone. She met his eyes, her voice breaking. If you die here, then I carry not only the secret of my people, I carry you. Daniel gave one last smile. That's enough. And then the doors shook with fire. The enemy had arrived. The walls shook like thunder. The enemy fleet had arrived. Sarah and Daniel stood in the command chamber, the broken outpost groaning around them. Red warning lights painted their faces, shadows flickering across the ruined walls. Outside, the scanner showed a swarm of ships. Too many. Far too many. Sarah's voice was a whisper. There is no escape. Daniel's reply was steady, almost calm. Then we don't escape. We make our stand here. Her eyes widened. Here? Against a fleet? Daniel's mouth curved into a grim smile. Two choices. Run and be hunted, or fight and be remembered. The doors shook again, heavy blasts slamming against them. Dust rained from the ceiling. Sarah's hands trembled as she gripped her rifle. Her heart screamed to flee, but her spirit refused to leave him. The doors burst open. Enemy soldiers flooded in, armor glowing, rifles burning. Daniel fired first. His shots cracked like lightning, dropping the first wave. Sarah joined him, her blasts wild but desperate, the sound echoing through the chamber. Smoke filled the air, thick and choking. But more came. Always more. Back, Daniel shouted, pulling her behind cover. Explosions ripped across the walls. Sparks showered their heads. The chamber became fire and thunder. Sarah's chest burned with fear. We can't hold them. Daniel's eyes were sharp. Then we take as many as we can. And he rose again, firing with fury, moving like a man who had nothing left to lose. He fought not for himself, but for her survival. Sarah felt something shift inside her. No longer just fear, no longer just despair. A fire burned. Her people were gone, but she was not. This was her last chance to honor them. Her aim steadied. Her blasts grew sharper. Enemy soldiers fell one by one. Still, they kept coming. The floor shook as something heavier entered. A war machine, metal beast with 4 legs, cannons glowing. Sarah gasped. We cannot stop that. Daniel's face was pale, but his voice was fierce. We don't need to stop it. We need to blind it. He grabbed a grenade from his belt, pulled the pin, and sprinted toward the machine. Daniel, no, Sarah screamed. He slid beneath the machine, fire raining around him, and hurled the grenade into its core. The blast ripped through the chamber, metal tearing, flames exploding. The war machine collapsed, its body burning. Daniel crawled back, bleeding from his arm, coughing in the smoke. Sarah rushed to him, pulling him behind cover. You're hurt, she cried. He gave a broken laugh. Just a scratch, but she could see the blood pouring, staining his armor. He was lying. The enemy regrouped. More soldiers poured in, stepping over the wreckage. Sarah's chest heaved. There was no end to them. Daniel leaned against the wall, his rifle almost empty. His voice was rough but steady. Sarah, listen. When they break through, you take the coordinates. You run, don't stop, don't look back. Her eyes filled with tears. I will not leave you. He grabbed her arm, his grip strong despite his wounds. His eyes burned into hers. You must. You carry hope. I carry only time. The chamber shook again, enemy fire tearing through the walls. Sarah's heart felt like it was breaking. She could not abandon him. Not now. Not after everything. But Daniel's voice came again, softer this time, almost pleading. Don't waste what we've done. Don't waste what we've fought for. Her tears fell, but her hands tightened on the rifle. If she could not save him, then she would fight with him until the very end. The doors shattered. The final wave came. Soldiers. Machines. Fire. Daniel roared, rising to his feet, his rifle blazing. Sarah stood beside him, her blasts striking true. Together, they fought like one, human and alien. Back to back, surrounded by death. The chamber burned. The air screamed. The enemy closed in. And still they fought. Daniel's rifle clicked empty. He drew a blade, slashing, cutting, refusing to fall. Sarah's shots grew wild, her arms shaking, but she did not stop. Then, a blast struck Daniel's chest. He fell to his knees. "Daniel!" Sarah cried, rushing to him. He looked up at her, blood staining his lips, his voice weak. "It's not the end. Not yet. Take it, Sarah. Take it and live." He pressed the data chip, the coordinates, into her hands. His fingers were cold, his eyes still burning. Her heart shattered. She wanted to scream, to refuse, but the chamber shook again, collapsing around them. Daniel's last words came in a whisper. "Live. For both of us." And then the enemy stormed forward. Sarah clutched the chip to her chest, tears blinding her eyes. The human had stood against an army for her people, for hope. Her voice broke into the flames. "I will not forget you." And as the outpost crumbled, Sarah made her choice. Not to surrender. Not to die. But to fight. For him. The outpost burned. Flames crawled along the walls. Sparks rained from the ceiling, and the roar of collapsing metal echoed like thunder. Sarah stumbled through the smoke, clutching the data chip to her chest. Behind her, Daniel lay on the floor, his armor cracked, his body broken. Her heart screamed to stay, to fight, to die with him. But his last words pressed into her soul. "Live. For both of us." The chamber doors burst open again. Enemy soldiers poured through, red armor glowing in the firelight. Their rifles lifted, their eyes fixed on her. Sarah raised her weapon, firing wild and fierce, but the blasts were endless. For every enemy that fell, 2 more appeared. The walls shook. Her rifle clicked empty. Her knees buckled. The end was near. And then, light. Not from her rifle, not from the fire, from the floor itself. Symbols carved into the ancient station began to glow. Lines of blue fire crawled along the walls, racing like rivers of energy. Sarah froze. She knew this power. It was the legacy of her people. The old knowledge. The secret the enemy had hunted. The symbols pulsed brighter, responding to the data, chip in her hand. The chamber erupted with force. A wave of energy exploded outward, hurling enemy soldiers against the walls, crushing them in an instant. Their screams vanished into silence. Sarah stood in the center of the storm, untouched. Her breath shook. She had awakened something greater than herself, something her people had hidden for generations. Slowly, she turned back to Daniel. He lay still, his chest rising only faintly. His eyes fluttered open, weak but alive. "You did it," he whispered. Tears blurred her vision. She knelt beside him, gripping his hand. "No, we did it." His lips curved into the smallest smile, but his skin was pale, his voice fading. Sarah's heart refused to accept it. She pressed the data chip against the glowing floor. The symbols flared again, brighter, faster. Energy poured into the room. Daniel groaned as the light crawled across his wounds. The ancient technology was not just knowledge, it was healing. Sarah gasped as the blood on his armor faded, the wounds on his chest sealed. His breath grew stronger. His eyes opened fully, sharp and alive again. Daniel coughed, then laughed, a sound rough but real. "I thought I was gone." Her tears spilled. She gripped his face, whispering, "I would not let you go. Not after all you've given me." The flames around them began to die, consumed by the strange energy. The outpost no longer shook. The ancient systems had awakened, shielding them from destruction. Daniel sat up slowly, staring at the glowing walls. "Your people, they left behind more than secrets. They left behind hope." Sarah nodded, her throat tight. "And now it is ours." But outside, the war was not finished. The enemy fleet still circled the outpost, waiting, watching. Daniel stood, his body still weak but his spirit burning. "They'll come again, stronger. They won't stop until they take this." Sarah rose beside him, her hand still trembling but steady with purpose. Then we will not let them. We will carry this knowledge where they cannot reach. And when the time comes, we will use it. For the first time since her world's destruction, she felt no despair, no loneliness, only fire. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. Together, she met his eyes, human and alien, two survivors who should never have crossed paths. And yet, here they were, bound not by blood, not by race, but by choice. Together. The scanner beeped. Enemy ships were moving closer again, forming attack lines. Daniel grinned, scarred lips curling. Round 2? Sarah almost laughed, the sound strange after so much loss. Round 2. They moved to the controls, now alive with ancient power. The outpost systems pulsed with weapons far older than either of them understood. The enemy fleet fired first. Beams of red light cut through the stars. But this time Sarah and Daniel answered. The outpost unleashed a storm, blazing arcs of blue energy, tearing through the enemy ships like paper. Explosions lit the void, one after another, until the stars burned with fire. The fleet scattered, broken, fleeing. Silence returned to the stars. Sarah lowered her hands, her chest heaving. Daniel leaned against the console, his face lit by the fading glow. They had done the impossible. 2 souls against an army. And they had won. For a long moment, they stood in silence, watching the wreckage drift. Sarah's hand found Daniel's, and he did not pull away. Her voice was soft. When I sent my signal, I thought no one would answer. I thought the universe had abandoned me. Daniel squeezed her hand gently. And I thought I had nothing left to live for. Their eyes met. Maybe, Sarah whispered, we were both wrong. Daniel smiled, the first true smile she had seen on his face. Or maybe we were both right, because we found each other. Their stars stretched endlessly before them. Not empty now, not silent. Full of possibility. And as the human and the alien stood together, survivors of war and keepers of a legacy, they both knew one truth. This was not the end. This was the beginning.